Bayley rejects Asuka's WarGames proposal backstage on Raw. Bayley just made the dumbest decision of her entire career. After months of struggling for relevance, after being pushed out of main event storylines, after watching everyone else get opportunities while she's stuck in mid-card hell, Asuka offers her a lifeline. A chance to be part of the most brutal and prestigious match in WWE at WarGames, and Bayley says no. Are you kidding me right now? This isn't about pride, this isn't about independence, this is about Bayley's ego destroying what could have been her path back to the top. And the worst part? Asuka is standing there heartbroken, speaking in emotional Japanese while Kairi Sane looks absolutely devastated, and Bayley just walks away like she's too good for them. What is Bayley thinking, and why is WWE booking her to look like an ungrateful fool? Let me set up this entire backstage segment because the context makes Bayley's rejection even more infuriating. Raw is backstage in the women's locker room area, and we see Asuka with Kairi Sane having what looks like a serious strategy discussion. They're clearly planning for WarGames, pointing at notes, looking at potential team lineups. Lyra Valkyria is nearby, stretching and preparing for her match, but she's clearly listening to their conversation with interest. Then Bayley walks in. She's minding her own business, grabbing her gear, and Asuka's eyes light up. You can see it on her face, she just had an idea. Asuka approaches Bayley with Kairi right behind her, and the energy shifts immediately. Everyone in the room can feel something big is about to happen. Comment right now before I tell you what happened. Would you have accepted Asuka's WarGames offer if you were Bayley? Yes or no, and why? Asuka starts speaking mix of English and Japanese like she does when she's passionate, and she's basically saying, Bayley, you and me, we have history. We've had incredible matches. We respect each other. I want you to be the fifth member of my WarGames team. Together, we can dominate. Kairi is nodding enthusiastically, clearly on board with this plan. And Lyra Valkyria stops what she's doing completely because she realizes she's witnessing a potentially huge alliance forming. And Bayley? She just stands there with this unreadable expression. Not excited, not grateful, just cold. She lets Asuka finish her pitch, and then in the most dismissive way possible Bayley shakes her head and says something like, I appreciate the offer, Asuka, but I work better alone. I don't need to be part of anyone's team. Good luck though. The silence that followed was deafening. Kairi Sane's face goes from hopeful to crushed. Asuka's expression shifts from friendly to hurt to angry in seconds. And she starts speaking rapid-fire Japanese. You don't need subtitles to know she's saying something along the lines of, are you serious right now? I'm offering you opportunity and you're throwing it in my face. Lyra Valkyria looks proud of Bayley for standing on her own, which adds another layer to this. Lyra clearly respects the independent mentality. But is that respect misplaced? Is Bayley making a strong individual choice or a stupid career mistake? Quick question for engagement, do you think Bayley rejected the offer because of pride, because she has other plans, or because she doesn't trust Asuka? Give me your theory. Let's break down why this rejection is so controversial and frankly, infuriating from multiple angles. First, from a career perspective, Bayley is in the worst position she's been in years. She's not in the title picture. She's not leading a faction anymore since Damage Control essentially dissolved. She's been having random matches with no clear direction. WarGames would have given her purpose, would have put her in a marquee match at a major pay-per-view, would have reminded everyone that Bayley is still relevant. But she said no. She chose her pride over her career. That's not strong independent woman energy, that's self-sabotage. In wrestling, when opportunities come, you take them. You don't worry about whether it fits your ego or your image. You get on the big stage and you perform. Second, let's look at this from Asuka's perspective. The Empress of Tomorrow doesn't just offer team spots to anyone. Asuka is a legend, a future Hall of Famer, someone whose main event WrestleMania. For her to approach Bayley and say, I want you on my team, is a massive compliment. It's Asuka saying, I think you're good enough to stand beside me in the most important match of the year. And Bayley rejected that compliment. She basically told Asuka, your validation doesn't matter to me. That's not just declining an offer, that's disrespectful. And you could see it in Asuka's reaction, the hurt in her eyes before the anger took over. This wasn't just strategy being discussed, this was personal. Trivia time, how many times have Bayley and Asuka teamed together in WWE? Take a guess and drop your answer below. Now let's talk about Kairi Sane's reaction because it was heartbreaking. Kairi has always been the emotional heart of any team she's on. She gets invested. She clearly thought Bayley would be perfect for their WarGames team, and when Bayley said no, Kairi looked like she'd been personally rejected. The way her face fell, the way she grabbed Asuka's arm for support, it was genuinely moving. This creates interesting dynamics going forward. Does Kairi now have animosity toward Bayley? Does this rejection plant seeds for a future feud? Because Kairi is protective of Asuka, and anyone who hurts Asuka becomes Kairi's enemy. We might have just witnessed the beginning of Kairi Sane versus Bayley, which would be an incredible match if WWE books it right. And Lyra Valkyria watching with pride? That's fascinating. Lyra clearly admires Bayley's independent streak, her refusal to join teams or factions. This could be setting up a mentorship or alliance between Bayley and Lyra, two women who want to succeed on their own terms without relying on group dynamics. That's a compelling story if WWE follows through. Comment bait: would you rather see Bayley team with Lyra Valkyria, or do you think Bayley rejecting everyone is the right move? Explain your reasoning. Let's discuss the implications for WarGames now that Bayley has declined. Asuka's team needs a fifth member. They've got Asuka and Kairi as the foundation, but they need 3 more women to compete, and Bayley was clearly their top choice. So now they're scrambling, they're back to square one, and time is running out before WarGames. Who could fill that spot? Io Sky would be an obvious choice given her history with Asuka and Kairi from their Japan days. But is Io available or committed to other storylines? What about Dakota Kai? What about someone completely unexpected? The possibilities are endless, but the fact remains Asuka wanted Bayley, and now she can't have her. This also creates potential for sabotage storylines. What if Bayley, even though she's not on the team, somehow gets involved in WarGames? What if she costs Asuka's team the match out of spite or to prove a point? You didn't need me? Well, watch what happens when I make sure you lose. That would be heel Bayley at her finest. Here's a controversial take: what if Bayley rejected Asuka because she's already aligned with the opposing team? What if Bayley is secretly part of whoever Asuka's team is facing in WarGames, and this rejection was her way of keeping that alliance secret? That would be a genius swerve. Bayley plays it off like she's just being independent, but she's actually been recruited by the enemy. Hot take question: do you think Bayley is hiding something, or is she genuinely just wanting to work alone? Could this be a swerve? Let's analyze Bayley's character arc because this decision reveals a lot about where her head is right now. Bayley has gone through so many transformations in WWE. She started as the ultimate underdog babyface in NXT, then became the huggy, kid-friendly character on main roster, then had her brilliant heel turn, then led Damage Control, and now, she's in this weird limbo where she's not fully face, not fully heel, just existing. This rejection suggests Bayley is in a trust nobody phase. She's been betrayed, she's done the betraying, she's been part of factions that fell apart. Maybe she's learned that relying on others only leads to disappointment. From that perspective, her decision makes sense. She's protecting herself emotionally by not getting involved in team dynamics that could blow up in her face. But here's the counterargument: wrestling is a team business at its core. Even solo competitors need allies. Even the biggest stars have backup. Stone Cold had allies. The Rock had allies. Roman Reigns built an empire on alliances. Bayley thinking she can succeed completely alone in modern WWE is delusional. The production of this segment was beautifully understated. No dramatic music, no camera tricks, just raw emotion and dialogue. That made it feel real, like we were witnessing an actual conversation rather than a scripted segment. WWE's backstage work has improved so much in recent years. Rate the segment. How emotionally invested were you in this backstage moment? Give me a rating from 1 to 10 in the comments. Now let's talk about the language barrier element, because Asuka speaking Japanese when emotional adds authenticity. When people are hurt or angry, they often revert to their native language. It's instinctive. And even though most of the audience doesn't understand Japanese, the tone and emotion translated perfectly. We didn't need subtitles to know Asuka was devastated and furious. This also makes Kairi's role as potential translator important going forward. If Asuka and Bayley have future confrontations where emotions are high and Asuka is speaking Japanese, Kairi can interpret and add her own spin to what Asuka is saying. That creates opportunities for miscommunication, for Kairi to manipulate situations, for drama. Let's discuss booking possibilities coming out of this rejection. WWE has several directions they could take. Option 1: Bayley remains solo and regrets her decision. She watches WarGames from backstage and realizes she made a mistake. She sees Asuka's team struggling and almost interferes to help but holds back. This plants seeds for Bayley to eventually apologize and try to make amends with Asuka. Option 2: Bayley's rejection was the right call. She goes on a singles run, wins matches, builds momentum, and eventually challenges for a championship. This proves she didn't need WarGames and made a smart business decision. Option 3: the rejection leads to a feud. Asuka takes Bayley's no personally and starts targeting her in matches. This builds to a grudge match where they settle their differences in the ring. Which option do you want to see? Comment your choice: option 1, 2, or 3. Here's what frustrates me about WWE's women's division: sometimes they have so much talent but not enough coherent storytelling. This Bayley Asuka segment is great, but will WWE follow up on it? Or will it be forgotten next week when they need to fill time? Consistency is key, and WWE has been hit or miss with women's storylines lately. The Asuka factor cannot be overstated. The Empress is one of the most decorated and respected women in WWE history. Her undefeated streak in NXT is legendary. Her Royal Rumble win was iconic. When Asuka speaks, people should listen. So Bayley ignoring Asuka's request is either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish depending on how WWE books the aftermath. If Bayley's rejection left you shocked and questioning her judgment, smash the like button right now. Subscribe to Wrestling Newsletter because this WarGames storyline is evolving and we're covering every twist. I need you in the comments. Did Bayley make the right call or the biggest mistake of her career? Who should be Asuka's fifth member now? Will Bayley regret this decision? Let's get 2,500 comments because this is the most debated women's storyline right now. Share this video with everyone because Bayley rejecting Asuka is either genius independence or career suicide, and we need to figure out which. Until next time, remember, in WWE, the opportunities you reject might be the ones you regret, and Bayley just turned down a chance at greatness.